now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.
Zubimendi and Declan Rice are the reason that Arsenal are performing at such a high level this year. And today I'm going to have a look at some of the key things that really stand out in their game and just why they have made Arsenal so strong in midfield and why they complement each other so perfectly in the middle of the park. Zubimendi is a player whose transition into this Arsenal team has been absolutely seamless. He has defied any expectation. There were worries about him and how he would adapt. People questioned his ability to track back in midfield, whether he would be run through. All of those fears have been answered. And I'm going to start with a focus of them on the ball. And the first thing I'm going to do is look at a clip from the Burnley game, because it's a clip that I think is really reflective of how good Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi are together, and how Martin Zubimendi is helping Declan Rice really thrive and grow and improve in some of the areas of his game that he has maybe been criticised for in the past. And some of those criticisms, in my opinion, have been ill-founded. However, Declan continues to answer his critics and right now is arguably the best midfielder in the world. So first up, let's have a look at a foul that basically was a good Arsenal chance in the making. But the reason I'm highlighting this is it's because it's something that we didn't have in our locker last year. So this is Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice linking to very good effect against Burnley. So you look at the ball, it's with Saliba right now. Comes in, Declan Rice, first time out to Zubimendi. He gives it back first time. Timber, some nice touches, back to Zubimendi, opens up left foot and into Eze. Next minute, Arsenal have a foul in a very dangerous position. The reason I'm highlighting this is because Arsenal moved the ball so quickly. This was one touch, two touch, and everything was done with efficiency. If you go back to the start of this move and you look at where Declan Rice is, look at where he starts and look where he travels to win that ball. He just glides around the pitch. And Zubimendi, the way he opens his body to create the angle is something that's extremely impressive. And when the ball comes back to him here, one touch, sees the trouble, and he opens his body out, left foot very quickly into Eze with pace, with zip on the ball. And Eze is now in a position that you can see he's got 3-4 players around him. He's looking around. He gets the ball, one touch, and he's away. Skips past his man with ease and lays it off. Gyokeres in, and he's hauled down. But what you can see is there's two Arsenal players against sort of 2.5 Burnley players, given how far forward Walker is in this position. If Eze isn't pulled down, this is an unbelievable chance on the counter for Arsenal. But it starts in a very deep position and us basically playing our way through Burnley. But what's interesting about this is the position that our players took up. And again, I'm talking about Zubimendi and how he's bringing the best out of his teammates. Zubimendi starts this move by going into the right centre-back position. And Declan Rice is in the number 6 position. So when Saliba has the ball, the easy pass here is for him to just pop it off to Zubimendi. But Zubimendi's not looking for it there. He drops deep and it allows Declan Rice to give it to him first time. People have criticised Rice for taking that extra touch. But with Zubimendi beside him, he gives it first time. And he keeps moving and he wants it back. Zubimendi knows he wants it back. And again, Rice, first time out to Timber. This just straight through 2 Burnley players with ease, with zip. And Timber gets the ball. He has to turn back slightly, given his position and where the ball's coming to him. But again, you can see Rice shows himself as an option again. Timber could pop that ball off. But what Rice does is bring 2 players away from Zubimendi because he keeps traveling. And again, now Zubimendi has the space, opens it out. And when we talk about angle bias, this is something that I felt held Arsenal back last season. Arsenal had a very distinct angle bias in certain positions. But here Zubimendi opens his body and he's playing it comfortably on his left. And that ball goes straight into Eze, who's able to skip past his man. Now, the reason angle bias is important is because if you have to take that extra touch to open your body and play that ball, it can be closed down. And a lot of players have a side they favour. This is something that Zubimendi does not have. And it's something that is making Arsenal better all the time. But I'm going to have a look at some of their numbers. So in terms of passing stats, successful long passes, both Zubimendi and Declan Rice rank in the top 10 for long, successful passes amongst midfielders in the Premier League. Arsenal are a team that play with variety and variation in their game. And to have 2 players that are in the top 10 for successful long passes is insane, considering that we play against such high lines. But it shows the increased variation in our play and the fact that we are more open to big switches. But the reason I've started with this slide is because I'm going to give you the even more impressive one now. And that is both Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi are in the top 5 players for successful completed short passes in the Premier League. Declan Rice has already made 505. Martin Zubimendi has 532. So to have two players in that category who are both completing passes with that kind of accuracy is insane. And it shows that these two players are both phenomenal players on the ball, in possession. They have the composure to do whatever's needed. And a big part of that is because they're so good at receiving. They know where to be. But again, I'm going to come back to that use of body and how Arsenal operate, how quickly they're able to move the ball as a result of Martin Zubimendi. But I'm going to use some examples of him on his left foot to begin with, because he is a right-footed player, but he is very good on both. This is a simple pass, but not many people will actually make it. Straight through the lines into Eze, he gets the ball, and again, he's hauled down. The reason that ball has come through to him quickly, you look at Eze's touch, he takes it away from his body, and he's in a position where he can whip that ball out to Saka very, very quickly. He's got Gyokeres beside him. He's got Jurriën Timber. He's got options to play it straight away because he has the ball quickly. But you look at Zubimendi's starting position here. Again, what's the easy pass? It's go wide to your fullback. It's to go straight back into Saliba at centre back. But no, he gets his head up. And again, this is where I talk about angle bias. If you've got a strong angle bias, that ball is favouring a pass back to Saliba on his right or drop the shoulder. He sees Eze. Eze drops. You see his shoulder going. You see Eze coming back, and in goes that ball very quickly, straight through the Burnley player, straight through the line, and Eze is in a position to get it. And it's not the only time we've seen this season that Zubimendi is really thriving on his left. This led to nothing, but this is something that did actually lead to a big moment in a game. And this is the Atletico game. Lewis Skelly gets the ball, pops it into Zubimendi, and you see him now, right? What's ahead of him? And again, we talk about safety, we talk about progression, and a lot of players probably put their foot on the ball in this position, given how deep Atletico are getting, where the players are, and who they've got ahead of them. But Martin Zubimendi is a player that likes to take risks. He likes to progress the ball. And here he is, gets his head up, and straight away, that ball goes in over the top with pace, and Arsenal have a runner in behind. On this occasion, it's Gabriel Martinelli. And the one thing that we know about Martinelli is he's a player that likes running in behind. He likes to get that ball to feet quickly. If you ask him to stand up against his defender 1v1, he can struggle. We've seen those struggles in real time against Premier League clubs over the last 12 months, where Martinelli is almost squeezed out of games against a low block. But if you get that ball over the top to him quickly, he can really thrive. And we've seen examples of that this season against Athletic Bilbao. We've seen him do it at Man City, and we've seen him do it in this game where he gets the ball in early and he's able to act because he's not having to beat his man 1v1 and then make a decision. Martinelli thrives so much whenever he gets the ball in instinctive situations, and this is a prime example of this. That ball over on the top on his left foot, and he's able to play it in quickly. Comes across, Eze goes for the scissor kick, and what's interesting is a few days later, he scores one of these against Crystal Palace. But here, Gyokeres is, ball went behind him, but he's straight away turning on his heels, ready for that second ball, comes into him, and next minute, the ball is in the back of the net. But I've paused it here because what you can see is Declan Rice is suddenly in the picture. He's attacking the penalty spot. And the reason this is interesting is because he then goes on and scores a goal from a very similar situation against Burnley, where the ball was released from Victor Gyokeres and played it right across the park, and it's Rice attacking the penalty spot. So in this move, you've got Zubimendi and his left foot and his ability to progress the ball and release it early and get Arsenal forward. And then you've got Declan Rice attacking dangerous situations and being there ready. Even now, you can see he's finding space. That ball comes out. Declan Rice is in a prime position if that ball doesn't end up in the back of the net. And that's something we're seeing more and more from Rice, is him attacking those areas high up the park. But we're also seeing him drop in behind. When you just look at some of the moves Arsenal have had this season, a big part of it is because Rice and Zubimendi are switching positions. When one goes forward, the other one is sitting back. When the other goes forward, same again. And this is happening on repeat. But we're also seeing an increased touch percentage from Declan Rice this year. And a big part of that is because of Zubimendi. Rice is averaging around 17 touches more per game. And as a result, he's hitting around 15 to 16 more passes in the Premier League per game than he was this time last year. And a major reason for that is the man that you see on the screen right now, Martin Zubimendi. This is his touch map. He is playing as a 6. And what we watched at 6 before was Thomas Partey with a very, very strong right-sided bias, but typically finding himself sat as an anchored 6, right between the centre-backs, very comfortable receiving on the half-turn, turning and playing that ball between the lines. What we didn't see from Thomas Partey was a player willing to move and rotate and go where the game needs him. But Zubimendi's touch map shows just how willing he is to go where the game requires. And that's really benefiting Declan Rice. And you look at his touches this season, 633 successful touches, 94 unsuccessful. This is a player that's on the ball constantly. He's got a very high usage rate. He knows what to do when he gets the ball. There's intent, clarity, and purpose to everything he does. And again, with Declan, look at his touch map. Last season, he was very high, he was wide, and he was in that left 8 position, getting the ball in the half space and trying to cross the box. We're now seeing a lot more deeper touches, and as a result, Declan Rice is playing more big switches, and he's getting himself into positions to play those line-breaking passes that he's often been criticised for not being able to do. And this is a prime example of those line-breaking passes, because I've got some video here that shows that he is more than comfortable doing it. And it's a case of Declan Rice being in the position to do it. If he's in that advanced 8 position and he's getting the ball with his back to goal and playing a very off-the-ball game, he's not in touch with the ball enough. He's not in touch with his teammates enough. And we're relying on his physical abilities as opposed to his technical quality, which he has in abundance. The first one I've got here is him against Newcastle. Again, you see the 2 Newcastle players closing him down. You've got Voldemata, and I think this is Bruno. And again, the easy pass would be pop it off to Saliba or ping it out to your fullback. Declan Rice gets his head up. He's looking at the pitch ahead of him. And straight away, takes that touch and bang. That ball straight through 2 Newcastle players and into an Arsenal player. Into Bukayo Saka here. Saka suddenly has 2 men coming to close him down. But what you can see is this has created space in behind for Jurriën Timber. So Timber is in a position to advance, and that ball can go to one of the other Arsenal players. But when Saka gets it, who is shown for the ball? It's Zubimendi. And this is what I've been talking about with when Rice comes deep into that 6 role, Zubimendi goes into a more advanced role. We're also seeing them in a traditional double pivot at times. But here Saka has the ball. And it's Zubimendi who's in a position to receive that ball and pop it over the top to Jurriën Timber. And it's that intelligence and that agility, that mobility around the pitch that is allowing Zubimendi to just pop up where he's required. And Rice is really benefiting because he doesn't have a player sitting on top of him. And again, here you can see easy pass, pop that off to Miles Lewis-Skelly. He can win it, but you can see in this situation, Rice has come deep. We're being pressed back. And Martin Zubimendi has gone in front of Saliba in that 6th position. But again, Rice looks ahead of him, and it looks like he's going to pop that ball across to Zubimendi when you're here. There is a very, very small gap to play the ball. He's got 4 Athletic Bilbao players in positions to close him down. And here we are with Rice just head up. Could pop that back to Raya. Very easy pass, but no. Head up. Bang, very similar pass to what he played against Newcastle, releases it quickly, and that ball straight into the middle of the pitch, into a danger area. And in this occasion, it's Martin Odegaard who's there on the half turn to receive and gets the ball. Suddenly, look at the number. Sorry, this was Olympiacos, not Athletic Bilbao. The number of players that they have ahead of the ball now. Martin Odegaard's in a position where he can turn and cause danger. You can see on the right, you've got Martinelli. You can see Victor Gyokeres is breaking a gut to get in behind. And Martin Odegaard suddenly has options ahead of him. And a major reason for that is because Rice is able to release that ball quickly because he's got the options behind him. There's also less risk with that line breaking pass because if that ball is cut out, there's an Arsenal player there to sweep it up. And that's a big thing that Mikel Arteta is obsessed with, is making sure you're reducing the risk. And Rice knew the risk there. He knew that he had Odegaard who could look after it on the high end of the pitch. And he knew that there were players in front behind him that could sweep it up if that ball did break out. And he does it with zip and pace. And that's the key thing. Again, the Newcastle game. And this was where Rice probably had his best game that we've seen this season, although he has some phenomenal ones since. Again, 2 Newcastle players close him down. Gets the ball. He's looking up. He's aware of where they are. He's aware of where his teammates are. And again, this ball is fired straight through the line. Not just through one line, but through 2. And you've got 2 Newcastle players closing him down, 2 sitting 10 yards behind them. And he squeezes that ball first time into 2 players. But what's he got ahead of him? He's got Eberechi Eze, who's very comfortable receiving in the pocket with players behind him. But Eze has managed to get himself in between the lines and make sure there is space to pop that ball off. And he gets it off comfortably to Trossard, who's on the move straight away. But Declan Rice is a player that keeps playing these passes and he doesn't get the credit for it. And if anything, he gets criticized for not being able to do it, despite an abundance of evidence that shows that he can do it. Here we go. Another ball, and this is something that he's become very effective at this season, is getting the ball in the half space and playing it into a position where he can cause real danger. You look at him here and you look at the number of players that Slavia Prague have back. You look at where he has to play that ball and he gets it through. But we're seeing this time and time again, and we saw it from Mikel Merino's assist, that Declan Rice is able to pick these passes up and play very accurate, very successful long passes into dangerous areas that really put teams under pressure. And he's getting better and better at this. And I do believe a big part of it is because of Martin Zubimendi. But you can see again the options. And when people talk about Arsenal playing safe, Saliba's there to take a safe ball and he can open his body and play it out to Timber. But no, Rice has gone for this first time out to Saka, who gets himself in behind. And to be honest, I thought he should have done better in this situation. But it's another example of Declan Rice and his passing ability and how he's able to move the ball around the pitch and really hurt teams now. Because I've always seen Declan as a very effective passer, but does he hurt teams? I think we are now seeing a player who hurts teams. And what you'll notice is I haven't talked about set pieces, and I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I feel that his set piece record is actually taken away and glazing over his incredible on and off the ball game that he is developing every single week. And when you look at the passing maps of both Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice, you can see the success rate of their passes and the variety. Variety is the key. And that's the reason I showed you this long and short passes so early on in this video. Martin Zubimendi has 627 completed passes this season, and he's completed 556 of those. He is a player that's averaging an 89% pass accuracy. And you look at some of the passes that I've already showed, they're not low-risk passes. They are not a player playing with safety. This is a player playing with phenomenal technique and technical elegance to allow himself to put the ball into very dangerous positions and ensure that he is hurting teams. And that's what he does. He wants to progress the ball. He wants to move Arsenal up the pitch, and he wants to ensure that teams are under pressure. And this is interesting because last year at Sociedad, he was looking at around an 84% pass accuracy. So he's now playing in a team that are playing in tighter areas, higher up the park. He's playing more dangerous passes, and he is completing more passes than he has ever done before. He is also hitting more passes per game than he has ever done before. And then you come to Declan Rice. This season, Rice has completed 530 of his 586 Premier League passes with a 90% pass accuracy. And again, I highlight those passes that he is playing. These are not low-risk passes. He's a player who has taken more risks. He's covering more ground. And because he is working his way around the pitch a lot more, we're seeing the best of Declan Rice. And because he has Zubimendi behind him or beside him, he's now in a position where he can do that more effectively. He can do the things that make Declan Rice so effective. And one example of that is the Newcastle game again. You look at this move, he gets the ball, comes across to him. It's a lovely pop off from Saka to take two players out of the game. And Declan Rice is charging forward. Ball with him at the edge of the Newcastle defensive third, and he's attacking it. He carries that ball and he's aware of the players ahead of him. This touch now takes him slightly infield, and you can see where he's going. Is he lining up to shoot? And this is what the Newcastle players are thinking. There's an option for him here. He can pop it off with ease to Bukayo Saka, who then has Gyokeres or Eze to play that pass to. Plays it into Leandro Trossard because they've created an overload in this situation because of the intelligence of Trossard, the speed of which Saka got the ball across to Declan Rice, and just the carrying power and how he gallops up the pitch with the ball. And here we see Trossard gets the ball, opens his body, and to me, this was something that should have led to a goal. Ultimately, as we know, it came flying off the post, and not long after, Newcastle went 1-0 up. But this was one of Arsenal's best moves in that game, and it came with just such ruthless efficiency to get ourselves up the pitch. And that's something that we're seeing more and more. But a big part of us being able to move up the pitch quickly is our ability to intercept high and get the ball back into dangerous positions. And Zubimendi is so effective at that. His ability to intercept, close players down, and read the game is something, again, that we haven't had in the sixth position. Here against Atletico, pass comes in, Zubimendi straight off his heels and closes his man down. You can see, bang, in he goes with the challenge. Ball comes to Bukayo Saka, and Zubimendi tells him, don't take that. You go to a position where you can cause danger. I will play the pass. Carries that ball, and Saka's approaching the box. Saka, very intelligent with his movement, to go further wide and allow Zubimendi a passing lane to give him the ball in space. And now you can see Arsenal have multiple players in attack, and it's causing a lot of problems. It's that counter pressing that is really, really ensuring that we squeeze teams out of games. And here is Saka, drops the shoulder, beats his man, ball comes into the box, and as you can see, Martinelli's already in an offside position, and it ends up in the back of the net. Goal didn't stand, but it's still something that we have to highlight because these movements and these interceptions are something that we're seeing time and time again from Zubimendi. And we saw that earlier in the season against Nottingham Forest. You look at this example, ball comes in, again, it's Zubimendi, hot on his heels, gets the ball, and Jurriën Timber's ahead. Madueke beats his man, and suddenly we've got an abundance of space in attack. But these things keep happening, and it's an example of why Arsenal are so strong. And when we get into that attacking third, Zubimendi is a player, much like Declan Rice, who can really cause teams harm at the edge of the box. Here are a couple of the examples. This is one actually of a quick release earlier down the pitch and how he gets us started. This is, again, something very basic, but it shows how quickly he gets that ball out. Here we go, out to Timber. He puts it into an area where Timber's on the move when he gets the ball. It's not anything special, but it's a player that wants to move up the park quickly. At times, we've seen Arsenal players put their foot on the ball too early, whereas with Zubimendi, we're seeing a player that wants to progress the ball from deep very quickly and move it first time. Whether he goes sideways, backwards, or forward, he does it with pace, he does it with intent, and he does it with purpose. And when he gets into the final third, he can really, really punish teams. This is an absolutely beautiful piece of play. Look at this touch. Flicks it up as if he's having a kickabout with his mates. And you can see, again, Lewis Skelly approaching the edge of the box. Victor Gyokeres is in. And in this situation, he just pops that ball in behind. And Gyokeres comes flying in like a steam train. And I think he does very well here because he's not necessarily the favorite to win it. He gets his shot away. And with a bit more time and space, he probably is able to be more effective in his finish there. But it's an example of Zubimendi's technical quality and ability to play with his back to goal. Because to just flick that ball up with ease, that is so effortless and it's so effective. And here's a clip from the Burnley game at the weekend. Edge of the box again, from an Arsenal corner. Zubimendi lines his body up as if he's going to shoot. And the reason so many players panic here, and you see a Burnley player rushing out to close him down, is because of that angle bias I spoke to. He has multiple Arsenal players that he can pass that ball to. And the Burnley team will be very aware that he is so two-footed that he can really punish teams. And here he does just that. Where's he going to play that pass? Up and over. Ball comes in, and I think Trossard has way, way more time than he thinks he does. And he really should have done better. Because when it's fallen, he's in a position where he can probably take a touch. He kind of flicks his body at it, and he has time and space. But again, it's that awareness of where teammates are and that understanding of how they can really be punished. But we're seeing Arsenal again move the ball up the pitch with ease. And we've seen the bounce pass this season. And this is an example again from the Newcastle game. Timber to Eze, Zubimendi into Trossard, back to Declan Rice, and out to Calafiori. The key thing here with this movement is it's all first time. It's all first touch. And everything last season was criticized because it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches. This year, we are not seeing that. And as a result, we're seeing our chance creation increase. We're seeing our goal scoring increase. And we're seeing us put more pressure on their teams. But the final thing I want to highlight is Declan Rice's creativity. He's often talked about set pieces. And the reason I said I wasn't going to focus on set pieces is because I think it's taken away from his overall game. This season, he's got 2 assists and 16 chances created. But if you look at where some of those chances are coming from, they're coming from around the edge of the box. They're not all coming from corners. And that's a major development that we're seeing in Rice's game this season. And he's getting better with every game he plays. It's only a matter of time before he has players ahead of him that can be even more effective. And I would like to remind everyone that Arsenal are missing Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz, now Victor Gyokeres, Gabriel Martinelli, Noni Madueke, and Gabriel Jesus. When those players return, Arsenal will be so much stronger, and we will have much more runners ahead of these players to stretch the game even further. But also, when the game is stretched, that can really, really hurt teams. This pairing is only going to get better, and the fact they are so good right now is just incredible to watch. But I haven't even talked about the off-the-ball recoveries, because I think everyone is well-versed in what Declan Rice can do off the ball. And Zubimendi being a very front-footed, punchy interceptor is something that I have highlighted, because I don't think he gets enough credit for his off-the-ball game defensively. But he is one of the reasons our counter-pressing is so effective. But do you agree with me? Do you think this pairing has really made Arsenal unstoppable this season? What are your thoughts? Drop a comment. Please hit the like button on the video. Hit the subscribe button, and please keep coming back for more. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again very soon.
You're now listening to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast.